while hearing the bail pleas of accused Sharjeel Imam and Umar Khalid, brought in the issue of Delhi riots case, drawing a parallel between the accused between the both the cases. The Delhi police said that intellectuals, when they guide and become terrorists, they become more dangerous than those working at the ground. These are real prey, and because of state support, state fundings and subsidies, they become doctors, activists. These type of activists are dangerous. So from the 2020 issues and Sharjeel Imam CAA 2019 and 2019-2020 and that case going on to the issue of the 10-11 blasts and this entire Al-Falah JNK module, we have an issue at hand. Sharjeel Imam, Delhi riots accused, Dr. Muzammil, white-collar terrorists, are these the backbone to this entire intellectual terrorists, white-collared radicals? And are there far many more hiding in plain sight? And is this a real threat to Bharat, viewers? Kulbir Krishan, former IPS and ex-member NSAB, Ishkaran Bhandari, lawyer, with us, and we're hoping to get Ratan Sharda also back very, very soon. Namaste and Jai Hind. Thank you for your time. Kulbir Krishan ji, the Delhi police drawing a parallel with intellectual terrorists, white-collar terrorists, or Safed Posh Dehshatgard, if you may say that, in both the Sharjeel Imam matter, Delhi riots case, and the Delhi 10-11 blast case. Kulbir ji.
See, in every case, it has always been intellectuals and highly educated people who have been guiding, whether they are terrorists, whether they are movements or Naxals or urban Naxals or whatever you call them. The cannon fodder may be tribals, but the actual brains have always been intellectuals, and intellectuals are anytime far more dangerous than those who are cannon fodder. The myth that is spread that only uneducated or poor people become terrorists is absolutely a figment of imagination spread by those who are covering fire to these intellectuals. The intellectuals have always been the brain. They have been the ones. In fact, Sharjeel Imam, if you listen to his speeches, has always been talking about chicken's neck and how we can cut off the northeast of India and how the entire world press will come when Trump comes. And all those facts have been brought to the notice of the Honorable Supreme Court by the Delhi police. So it's nothing new, it's nothing surprising. And the challenge before the intelligence and security agencies is how to tackle these intellectual terrorists or precursors of terrorists.
Now, there's more before we bring in Ishkaran and Ratan Sharda ji. According to top sources, the module is a hybrid indoctrination network mix of digital radicalization, academic grooming, covert campus activities, and logistical support masked under legitimate educational movements. Now, I'm reading what the extracts are from, and the interpretation is based on Dr. Muzammil's confession on the 10-11 blast case. But viewers, you please exercise your intelligence and you can juxtapose this to the entire Delhi riots case together. And there it's just the same continuum. Security agencies believe that the terror network behind the Delhi Red Fort blast case relied heavily on educated youth who could operate discreetly in hospitals, universities and hostel spaces, traditionally considered low risk by intelligence grids. It is within this environment that Muzammil, born in 1992 in Koil, Pulwama, was slowly drawn into an extremist framework designed to convert high-achieving students into operational assets. And top sources say that the module functioned on a two-layer structure. The first was digital indoctrination, carried out via encrypted platforms. Muzammil's initial exposure reportedly came through Telegram handlers such as Hashim, Kamran and Dr. Ukasha, who introduced him to radical ecosystems like the Farzadani Darul Uloom Deoband and the Kafilaya Gurba. These channels acted as the ideological playgrounds, combining religious indoctrination, propaganda and curated messaging to psychologically isolate individuals from mainstream society. The second layer involved in-person grooming within educational institutions, particularly those hosting large outstation student populations. These colleges, sources say, offered the perfect breeding ground because of students living alone. minimal local scrutiny, and a natural atmosphere of academic stress and ambition. Recruiters targeted individuals who were isolated, ideologically curious, or seeking validation. This ecosystem extended beyond classrooms, closed door ideological sessions, late night discussions framed as academic circles and academic trips that doubled as logistics reconnaissance became routine. Investigators have also uncovered a network of rented premises near campuses functioning as safe houses, allowing covert meetings under the guise of study groups and exam preparations. Ishkaran Bhandari, we could pick up this entire modus operandi and juxtapose that to Jamia, and also to the other campuses that were active in 2020.
Anand, the modus operandi behind various terrorist attacks is the same. But one thing which needs to be nipped in the bud finally is where this ecosystem comes and says he was a university student, he was a professor, he was a person from a very good background. All these terrorists are the same, whether it be a doctor or whether it be a laborer who's putting a puncher on the road. The only difference is their roles. The roles may be different. And to be very honest, at one time it used to be said about mafia. It's the same thing about terrorists because they're all interlinked. What the Godfather said, a lawyer with a briefcase can steal more than 100 men with gun. Same way a doctor can kill 100 times more than an ordinary person on the street can. And that has come out in this case. They are using their education to increase by multiple folds the damage they can cause. That person caught trying to create ricin. These doctors who are all there, and I wonder what would have happened to their patient if some survey is done into their patients they treated with this sort of a mindset. This is a walking time bomb. We have people propagating why they should do suicide even though they have everything in the world. So this has been known for a long time. It's nothing new. The only difference is, and even before that video came out, we saw attempts being made to whitewash these terrorists, including in certain pamphlets where they were saying what a great humanitarian he was, what a great student he was, how he was treating people, and how his entire family is shocked. Of course, and how his entire family loved him and he loved his family. Of course, Hitler was loved by certain people, but that is the reality of whitewashing in India. Unfortunately, after so many terror attacks, we still pretend to be surprised that educated are doing this. We still pretend to be in shock and say, oh, finally this parda is over of who can do terror. They are all terrorists depending on their role. Education has nothing to do with, except only adding to the degree of danger.
Ratan Shardaji?
Anand, you will remember that the most
We're going to come back to you, Ratanji. It's a very patchy. It's a very patchy network. We'll try and get you on the phone also, patch you on the phone also, while we try and get you on via Zoom. Bear with us, viewers, on that. Yes, Ishkaran, quickly, and then I'll bring in Kulbeer Krishan.
Yeah. Because I just wanted to come back to one more thing you said, that how it relates to Delhi riots. You saw how Delhi riots, there was this entire narrative of women on front and women can't do it and all these Shaheen Bagh ki dadis, and we saw how a woman in this case was a mastermind. The second narrative, very important, is to know it is not about gender also, because that is very often used to stop police from taking decisive action when they are trying to do chakka jam. Everybody, irrespective of gender or education, can be equally involved in terror. I think finally that consensus should be arrived in public conscience.
No, and women are equally radicalized or motivated, and there is this entire brigade that's created. There is also documented on the Delhi riots case how women were gathered, Rohingya women and some others who were gathered at that area to try and block and to try and create a smoke screen at that time and block entry of certain elements. Okay, Ratanji is back. Yes, Ratanji.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My Wi-Fi went off. Okay, see, we will remember the most popular and loved preacher of our secular class was Dr. Zakir Hussain, a doctor from Mumbai, who preached his violent doctrine all through years. Many terrorists have agreed that they were indoctrinated by Dr. Zakir Naik. There are IT engineers who did immense blast all over India, from Bhatkal town where they were trained and they were engineers there. And also, if you look at what video evidence of Sharjeel Imam has shown today, that these are not isolated incidences. An educated terrorist, like Ishkaran pointed out, is more dangerous than the lay average gangster or average terrorist, because they have got sophistication. They've been brainwashed since childhood. So brainwashing in the childhood doesn't go out. And when Sharjeel Imam spoke, he was supported by all these so-called liberals, so-called seculars. When he was arrested, he was touring all over India. He went to Assam, he went to various other places, and he was spreading this kind of violent, highly volatile, highly inflammatory speeches, communal violence, anti-national outpourings. All this was happening, and there are people on the ground who are supporting it. Delhi Riot 2020, same organ workers of these terrorists were supporting them. They are highly educated. So fear is that this is not one-off incidents, neither doctors nor a Sharjeel Imam. There's a complete network of people supported from outside. Sharjeel Imam and his doctors are just nutballs of a very vast scheme which is running globally.
Right, but
Because you will see
but
same
that,
approach.
So then we are also then seeing, Kulbir Krishanji, an evolution of this entire jihad narrative. It's now becoming, co-opting intellectuals, raising the entire nature of jihad to a very intellectual force.
And then they co-opted intellectual first.
Yeah,
So
but
it's a mix, On the one side, it is intellectual. On the other side, it is deeply ingrained in religion. But I can't understand. Al-Falah University, the person involved in the 2008 blasts in Gorakhpur and other places, studied in the same university. Why did it not come under the scanner of, the UGC, security, intelligence, local administration, etc.? Instead, it has been growing from strength to strength. You cannot have a university almost in the middle of nowhere, right on the doorstep of Delhi, which is becoming a cradle of terrorist activities. I fail to understand why none of the people involved, how was land use changed? How were they allowed to construct buildings? Were they buying acetone, hydroxide and other things which normally labs don't buy?
Right.
So there are a lot of fishy things going on there which need thorough investigation, and it's correct, as you said, that it's a global movement, but the focus is on India, and we have to be very careful, and we have to revamp our traditional systems because they've been found wanting.
No,
In
but
fact,
how
India's
does
traditional strength was on human int.
Yeah, Ji, please complete.
May I continue?
Ji, please complete.
Yeah. But of late, in the last 20 years, we've been focusing more and more on tech int, But the best form of intelligence is human intelligence, and we have to have good and well-placed sources in these organizations, which will lead to fantastic results, as we are finding out in the fight against left-wing extremism and so on.
Yeah, see, because there are a lot of these people who are exposed to this radical vitriol, who rejected it, who didn't accept it, who heard it out and did not do it. So there is also the fact that if they must have relayed this Ishkaran to about 1,000 people, say 10, 15, 20 would have reacted positively to this radical vitriol, the rest would have rejected, but the rest did not even flag it off. The worry is that they rejected it, they said it's not for me, but they didn't flag it off and say, hey, there's this aji-baji going, this doctor or this MD pediatrics or someone, this faculty member is pushing, incendiary ideology in the garb of education.
Anand, I differ from you where you say that they preached it to many people who rejected it. What proof do you have of how many people rejected it? How many people are waiting to do it? So these presumptions are too generous. We do not know. It's for the investigative agencies to find out.
Right.
The 2008 person was studying here. You might have thought in 2008 that other people have rejected it. We've come out and find in 2025, people haven't rejected it. So these presumptions where we are just willing to give leeway to people, no matter what evidence we come, is also a problem we are facing, I'm sorry to say.
Okay.
So to me, to my mind, people who didn't flag it, who knew it, should also be booked under terror act. If you find any digital evidence that these people were planning this and other people knew about this, those people are terrorists and they need to be booked. The message needs to go of zero tolerance of any support in any way, shape or form to terrorism.
But then do I then broad brush anybody and everybody who was in their connect as a terrorist or as a radical, Ratan Chardaji? How do we tackle this? Because if there are many more hiding in plain sight who will go quiet now, Like a Muzammil could wait for 15 years and he was willing to wait for a few more years. It was Umar Nabi, now we are given to understand, who was a restless one. So what do we do? How do we understand that? How do we discern?
See, one is we have to recognize that the ideology itself is the problem. Anybody who agrees the ideology will become radical. You have to understand, first of all, and accept it, the bitter truth.
Right.
Secondly, those people who keep quiet are afraid of the community, that they will be targeted, they will be isolated. That's a hard fact. Because there are a good number of Muslims who are against it, but they are afraid to talk. So they will keep quiet. And it's not just here, even if you look at Khalistanis or outside, they are very small in number. But the gentle Sikhs keep quiet. So this keeping quiet is a bad quality of gentle people. But at the same time, when a university is formed and the owner or the promoter has a history sheet, is a history sheeter, then how can they get the permission? I think the intelligence at the ground level and easy way of getting these lands from a government, they
Right.
got 60-acre land from the state government. And then they had funding, they've got funding
Right.
from the state government. So all these things need to be countered, and to be honest enough that those who are, and biggest, I say, the promoters of these
Right.
people who cry for them, they should be held equally responsible. When they start getting punished, when they start getting
Right.
criticized by the people, then others will fall in line, and then these terrorists can be isolated.
Right. There are those who know how to use the system, use the laws to subvert the law and to subvert democracy. And they are past masters at it. So someone has to try and open up that playbook and do better than them to expose this lot. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our guests and to our viewers for tuning in.